Hi guys, so I want to talk about something today that I think a lot of women go through when they are either trying to get pregnant or maybe not trying to get pregnant but get pregnant. And that is how you know you're pregnant or know you're pregnant before you actually have a pregnancy test. So the first 2 weeks of pregnancy, which technically is considered week 3 and 4, not week 1 and 2. So this is my third and fourth week of pregnancy before I had missed a cycle and before I had taken a pregnancy test. So the first thing that I noticed, the biggest giveaway, was extreme fatigue. I was so tired, completely exhausted. Like, I'm talking napping during the day, going to bed early, having a hard time waking up in the morning, just everything. I wanted to sleep all the time. And even when I wasn't sleeping, I wanted to just lounge. Like, I wanted to just lie on the couch and lie around. And I didn't want to do anything. I didn't even want to go visit anyone. I just wanted to, like, be a slug, basically. Um, I generally work out 4 to 5 times a week, and a typical workout lasts about an hour. So I knew something was up when I couldn't even do that. Like, I was working out max like 3 times a week for like a half hour. So I knew something was different. Like, I wasn't making it through my workouts. And it wasn't just a matter of like me not pushing myself. It was like I was just physically so tired. It didn't feel right. So that was probably the biggest giveaway, was just this extreme fatigue above and beyond like a normal tired day. The second thing that really changed in those first 2 weeks was I was starving. I was so hungry all the time for everything, and especially carbs. Like, bread and butter were the biggest ones. Like, I wanted toast and butter every single day, and I tried to resist. Like, I tried not to eat that every day because typically that wouldn't be something I would eat in a normal diet. Like, in my week, maybe I'd have that like once a month kind of thing. But I knew, when every single day I'm just like, I just want toast and butter and yogurt, like just carbs, not necessarily junk food, but I was just starving. And anytime anyone made food, I never said no. I was always like, yes, I want some food, and then I want to go to sleep. Like, that's all I wanted to do. I turned into a sloth overnight. And I always have a pretty healthy appetite. I always have a good appetite, but I try to eat appropriately, and I really struggled to not overdo it. So I knew it was like a little above and beyond like a normal struggle. So that was a bit of a giveaway as well. The next thing that really was a drastic change, and this is kind of TMI, too much information, but I had a really hard time going to the bathroom, like number two. I just couldn't go, and it was so uncomfortable and such a weird feeling because it's not really something I've ever really had before. And to not be able to go, I was like just uncomfortable. Like, I didn't know how to deal with it. And I know some people deal with it on a regular basis, but I was not prepared for that feeling. So I was extremely uncomfortable. Again, TMI, but also gassy. Like, constantly. Like, I just was so gassy, and not even necessarily stinky, just consistent, and couldn't go to the bathroom. And again, it was like something I'm not used to. I usually have a very well regulated, healthy stomach, if you will. So to have both of those things going at the same time was like a very different feeling for me. Luckily, it didn't last. It was a little short lived, but yes, it was uncomfortable. It was there. I knew something was different in my stomach. Another one was sore breasts. So I had just extremely sore breasts. I guess more leading towards the end of those 2 weeks. So getting closer to when my cycle would have begun, my breasts started getting sore and started growing, and growing pretty fast. And whenever I'm about to get my cycle, they always get bigger. I have like special bras that are a little bit bigger because they just grow around that time, but almost even growing above and beyond that, like what they normally would. And they were sore, but almost in a different way. So I just knew it didn't feel quite the normal way that it usually feels. Along with that, I started to get like really, really light cramping, and it was different. It was different than like usual PMS cramps that you get before your cycle. I generally would get moderate cramps before I would get my period, and these were really light, like super gentle. I didn't mind. I was almost just like, oh, maybe I'm just having lighter PMS this time, and that's not so bad. But on the same hand, I was like, this is strange. Like, usually I would say moderate, because I know some people get really, really heavy cramping that's intense, but I never really had that, but I could definitely feel them, and just to have these really gentle cramps was different. So I just felt those subtle changes, like something's different in my body. I also was just kind of run down feeling, like almost like I was fighting a cold. And it was, I guess it was winter at that time, so it was cold season. I don't usually catch colds though, but I'm like, I'm fighting a cold, something's up. So those were all of the physical symptoms that kind of like really got my wheels turning, like something's different, my body's different. I know something's not how it usually is at this time. The biggest giveaway, and I've heard a lot of women talk about this and experience it, you literally just know. They say sometimes just know, and you just know. Like somehow I knew, and I was thinking about it all the time. Like I'd always find myself thinking like, what if I'm pregnant? Like I feel like I could be, and I would go into these like daydreams in my day thinking about like me with a belly or me with a baby, and I didn't talk about it. I didn't tell anyone, because then the other part of my brain is like, how can I know? That's crazy. Like, but I would constantly thinking about it all day long. So I just had that feeling. And then finally, I went over to my mom's house and kind of told her I'd been tired and hungry. And she said, I think you're pregnant. And she literally put words to what I had been thinking, but not talking about. I'd been thinking about it for 2 weeks, almost 2 weeks, not talking about it. And she just voiced it. So I was like, yeah, I think I could be too. Like, what should I do? Should I go take a test? So she got really excited, and we're like, yeah, let's go take a test right now. Let's go to the store and get one. So I actually went to the store, bought a test, and little did I know I took it all wrong. I did everything wrong taking this test. It came back negative. So I just totally messed it up. I took it in the middle of the evening. I quickly downed glasses of water so I could go pee, and then I just peed on the stick. Literally just peed on the stick. Didn't even read the instructions, nothing. So it took the full 2 minutes and came back negative. And I was disappointed almost, because at that point I was kind of getting really excited. I was a little surprised, disappointed. And I was like, oh man. Oh, and to top it off, I took it before I had even missed my cycle. So I did every possible thing you could do wrong taking a pregnancy test. So my initial one was negative, but I still was thinking about it. So I waited until the first day that I had actually missed the first day of my cycle and took another one, and sure enough, it was like instantly positive. So sometimes when you think you just know, sometimes you're right. So don't let a negative pregnancy test deter you from that, especially if you're not reading the instructions and not taking it properly. But anyways, thanks so much for watching. I'm going to try to update all of my pregnancy symptoms as I roll along. Thanks.